And we're live.
And that's how
Holy
we're starting the show. Welcome, everybody, to Geek News, Reviews, and Opinions.
Well,
My
thank you
name
for-
is
for-
Brenton.
And he's
Thank you for
assuming
making the
hosting
intro
duties
there.
of the show.
Welcome, all you sassy senoritas. Ay, 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 ay.
Why is everything look like it's covered
It's
in
a sassy takeover from
Yeah.
Britain.
Matt, you might need to turn your speakers off because I can hear it in the feedback.
Yeah. I
I'm
don't,
doing it live.
I don't have Bluetooth, and headphones give me a headache, so I can't really like sit here going, "Hey guys," and have this cord. Eh. So hopefully,
So there we go. That also fixes it too because I already had the volume going on right then and there. So we had a little bit of a weird opening tonight, but welcome everybody to Geek News, Reviews, and Opinions for Saturday, June 18th, 2016. I'm your host, Adam Mickelson. I hope everybody has had a wonderful week, especially with all of the E3 announcements and all of the other things that were happening in the meantime, aside from, obviously, the big problem that happened at the beginning of the week. And people have already been asking if we're going to be showing our support for it, so I'm already going to say that my thoughts and prayers have been with the people affected by the incident in Orlando, or incidents in Orlando. And I'm pretty sure that the rest of the panel is kind of on that side with me. Life is life, unfortunately, sometimes, and sometimes life just really, really sucks to the point of people being kind of the ultimate douches and going off and doing horrible things. So, with that being said, though, this is not a podcast where we talk about the negative. This is not the podcast where we talk about the horrible and depressing. In fact, I think in honor of the people dealing with the Orlando situation, it would be in our best interest to chug on, as we usually do. So let's go ahead and do that. But first of all, let me introduce our major panel tonight, starting, of course, with Aldo Gomez of Board Offline, of Reviews vs. the World, of SLC Nerd and Anime Overdub. How you doing tonight, Aldo?
I made it easy for you.
I know, right? Thank you. I have a clear illustration of everything he does.
All the things I do and don't do anymore.
Yep. So how are you doing tonight, Aldo?
Doing good. We were working on a thing, so that was really cool spending part of the day with you guys. It's kind of been a hush-hush project, and I promise the fans that they'll know more about it later, but just know that today we all spent entirely too much time in one small room together.
And now the rumor mill will flow.
But apart from that, I was doing some shopping earlier in the week, and I found a manga adaptation of Wolf Children, based obviously on the movie Wolf Children, Ami and Yuki by Mamoru Hosoda, and art designed by Yoshiyuki Sadamoto, and art of the manga by Yu, and it is a fantastic adaptation. The art in it is fantastic.
Oh, yeah.
It's actually really well, decently sized. It's actually a really big book. It is
Yeah, no kidding.
a monster. So I've been making my way through this one.
Alex, did you know about that?
I knew there was a manga.
Okay, cool. All right, well, moving down the line, we also have Brenton Volley of Brenton Volley Gaming, apparently Naked Norman now. Is there an
yeah.
explanation for that?
Well, Naked Norman on a beach. What else do you want in life?
Norman Reedus,
All
dog.
right. All right, and how has your week been, Brenton?
Better than last week, but I am exhausted, so that's nice, I guess. I didn't sleep last night.
This is pretty much confirmed for all of us, I think. And going down the line... Go ahead.
Oh, no, I was just going to say, for anybody following me on Twitter, they would know I started playing Rise of the Tomb Raider, so, yeah.
Yeah, love it.
And then next down the line, we have Matt Billingsley of Retneck. I think I'm saying that right, am I not?
yeah, redneck. Yeah.
All right, and
How did I get one of those? How did I get one of those tags like you guys have?
you got to get the Google Hangout Toolbox app
Where's that?
thing. Talk to Aldo. Aldo was the one that gave it to us.
I don't know how I gave it to you.
It's on the left-hand side of the Hangout screen.
Found
Click
it.
on it.
Yeah,
The little red box.
Yeah.
Red box with the wrench.
Go live, people.
Comment tracker. I get to add something. Ooh.
I think he just discovered a few things.
No idea what I can do now.
All right, and good to hear that Matt has had a good week as well. And then going down next in the line, we have the Shadow Blazer, who is very much not in the shadows this week.
Thankfully, I'm not in the shadows this week. I did that last week because it's that case where it's cool enough to have the windows open, but I'm in the basement and there's no air circulation down here, so it just isn't very comfortable. So I had all the lights off just to try and keep the room a little bit cooler.
So,
You know what?
Work.
Basement's
so it was
nice.
too cool.
I used to live right across the hall from you, so I understand.
Mhm.
It was too cool, and then it got popular.
First that darn light.
Every kid has a basement room now.
And then finally we have Stephen Romney of Romney's Reviews, of From the Shelf, of various other things that he has got planned. How are you doing, Romney?
Doing pretty good. It's been a bit of a busy week. As some people may know, I've been slowly working on trying to get my driver's license. And in the midst of that, if any of you who follow me on Twitter may know, the gods of used DVDs smiled upon me as I found this nice gem sitting in a basket in FYE.
This is gross. Be right back, guys.
Oh,
Seriously, I just lift up my arm and here's this little fly just hanging out of my hand. He's not.
hi there.
I'm not
Go
gonna
ahead and
have
take
to
it.
like killing it. I just feel like taking him outside. Let him just be out there. If I can do this.
Wow, the Ava collection, I believe that's the one I
Yep, it's the Ava Platinum
have
Collection.
too, Alex, isn't it? The Platinum?
If I could see it a little more clearly, Robbie, could you hold it up to the camera? Oh yeah, that's the one that you gave to me as well. Very nice.
Everybody has it.
Yeah,
Everybody has
Fine.
it.
That was really. I'm really happy for you. When I
Yeah.
saw that on Twitter, I was just like, that is pretty. Sweet.
This is why I like looking around in used DVD stores, because you find rare stuff like that. That's how I found that. That's how I found my Macross DVDs. You'd be really surprised what you can find.
Yep. All right, but now that the panel is introduced, obviously we have a very big piece of subject matter to talk about this week, and that is the Electronic Entertainment Expo 2016 edition. There were some ups, there were some downs, there was a lot of in between, and frankly, we're going to go over as much of it as we can actually fit in, because there's a lot to talk about. I can already tell you that at least two of us have fancy little spreadsheets or notes to be able to say all of the things that we covered. And I have a feeling that a lot of people who listen to or take part in the content for my channel will hear a lot of repeated stuff from me, just because I already have videos covering all of the major conferences, and so you can get my opinions pretty much there.
That's not how the logo works.
So at that point, let's go ahead and... So I'm actually going to save the bigger conferences kind of to start out the hours, and then we'll go through the littler companies as we go along. And if we just so happen to run out of time, well, we've got a solution for that too, because we do actually have some entertainment stories submitted by you. You. I really do need to fix my camera. Submitted by you, and we will be talking about them tonight if we run out of time on this. Because also the other thing to admit is, compared to other E3s that especially that we've covered, this has been a pretty light one. There hasn't been a whole lot of major stuff. I mean, when we started things out in Radio SLCC, we had 2 big consoles coming out. So at that point, that's the major difference tonight. And so, of course, let's go ahead and start off with the conference that I guess at this point is kind of second in running for the best of show at E3, and that was the Microsoft or Xbox conference and all of the events that happened. We're not going to go into them in order, but basically I'm just going to go down the panel and ask for... We're just kind of going to kind of do the whole best and worst deal, especially with some of these press conferences, and we'll try and cover as many details as we can. But obviously, we all have varying opinions, and we also have varying things that we were interested in these conferences. So I have a feeling, just looking at Romney as a perfect example, there's not really a whole lot he could talk about at the Xbox conference.
No.
So we'll make this as easy as we can, but we are going to cover a couple of the major details. In particular, all of the new Xboxes that are coming our way. Yes, we had a slim model, we had Scorpio, we had all of that fun stuff, but let's go ahead and go opposite this time. Romney, what was the best and worst of the Microsoft conference for you? Because you had to have at least heard something on it.
Honestly, I haven't. All I heard was about the different model Xboxes, and that was it. Now, keep in mind, people, I don't really watch the conferences or the streams when it comes to E3. I'm the kind of person who will just go back through and watch the trailers for things that are dropped after they've dropped, so that way I'm not dealing with the whole build-up or any usual BSing by various executives. And Microsoft is just not one of those companies that's really on my radar because there's just not really enough games they offer that makes me want to run out and buy an Xbox One that isn't either multi-platform or just...
At least that aren't available on another console for
Yeah,
you.
exactly. Because more often than not, the stuff that I'd be interested in is either on a Sony console, like the PS4 or the Vita, or is Nintendo exclusive, or is on PC. So there's just nothing that really excites me that makes me want to say, oh, I'm going to go buy an Xbox One, because that's just how I am. So I didn't really notice anything that they dropped that caught my eye, nothing that kind of came on my radar. It was very much just nothing.
Okay. Now, before we move over to Alex, because there's a little bit of business that I need to take care of, because I already know 2 yahoos in this panel are going to give me crap about this. In fact, one of them already did, because of a certain presentation that actually did happen on the Microsoft conference involving Gears of War 4. And just so happened to be that when they did the gameplay demo, a certain voice actress that I have a lot of respect for came out, and immediately I get a text from Aldo saying, "Oh, look, it's your favorite actress."
I know, right?
So I'm going to get this out of the way. Yes, Laura Bailey was there. Yes, she is a respected actress as far as I'm concerned. I am not...
We talking about the Microsoft panel still?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry, we were talking about actresses. My brain immediately went to Ubisoft for having Aisha Tyler on there.
We'll get there.
No, Laura Bailey was there and confirmed, I am not her stalker. Shut up, Alex. I know you're going to say it. With that being said, Alex, your best and worst of the Microsoft conference.
Well, unfortunately, I'm in the same camp as Romney. I didn't watch the conferences. This is gonna be a boring show, really, guys, for me. So, because I didn't watch the conferences, I watched a few trailers, and yeah, again, I've said this so many times. Microsoft has nothing for me. I've never had a desire to ever buy an Xbox. They've just never had anything appealing to me for reasons.
That's not entirely true, because I actually kind of gave you a little bit of a trollish text, because when the conference started, they actually did have a subheading saying that there was going to be a big ukulele announcement, and then that turned out to be just an indie showcase.
Of course. Guess what? Because ukulele already had a trailer come out like 2 weeks before, so anything else ukulele related, either
they didn't even show the trailer. They showed 5 seconds of it.
Exactly. Yeah. So anything I'm going to hear about ukulele, it's either going to be through the Kickstarter news feeds, or it's going to be through damn it, I forgot the damn company's name again.
Through Platonic.
Either it's going to be through their YouTube channel, or it's going to be through the Kickstarter announcements. So, yeah, I can't imagine seeing anything ukulele at E3. And I've already heard pretty good interviews well before E3 months ago. So I'm set as far as ukulele goes.
All right. So there you go. Not really a whole lot of best and worst from either Romney or Alex, but now Matt, you're an interesting case, because last week you were outright saying, I'm not interested in E3 unless it's anything.
I've never been interested in E3, yeah. So I decided, when you actually, I'm going to check it out, I thought in my mind, you know what, I'm going to watch it just so I can either come on here saying, I found something I love, or come on going, oh, you guys have no idea.
Yes, exactly.
I'm really angry. I've got a good mix of both.
All right, so what were your thoughts on the Xbox conference?
I am still amused that they opened it up by showing the Xbox One S and then ended with Project Scorpio.
Yes,
just
they love
solidifying the fact that now nobody is buying an Xbox One S now. They're going to save all their cash to buy that Project Scorpio.
Or they're just going to they're not even going to acknowledge Scorpio, and they'll get their Slim and move on. That's entirely a possibility too. I especially loved all of the stuff that they had to announce that was part of their online functionality, where you have Cortana functionality with all of the Xboxes. You have
everybody loves her. Ooh.
You had clubs on Xbox Live. You had looking for group on Xbox Live. Arena on Xbox Live. All these things that I kind of pretty much assumed
Take a
they
shower on
already have.
Xbox Live.
So
Find your pleasure on Xbox Live.
yeah, exactly. Find your match on Xbox Live via webharmony.com. Okay. So did you have any high points or any low points that you specifically wanted to discuss with it, aside from, well, the S and Scorpio?
Lowest point for me, it was a really low point. I was actually very agitated throughout that whole conference, where I was expecting to see something I care about, but nothing I care about. Nothing I would wrong anybody else for liking for, but I am eternally angry that the one thing that they showcased that I would have been interested for was just a big shitload of trailers just all mashed together on indie scene. It's
And
like,
fast enough that you couldn't keep track of it at all.
no, yeah.
So
I saw Cuphead, I was like, oh, hey, where'd Cuphead go? And then I saw Ukulele, like, hey.
yeah, I actually so people can't actually see this. I took notes. Romney will be proud. I took notes for E3, and I actually had to come back in and fill in all of the names because I would literally write halfway through and then get to the next one. And the funniest part is that they actually announced one that then PlayStation later claimed it was exclusive to them.
Oh my.
I think which was Ark Survival, or Ark Survival Evolved.
It's theirs now, exclusive?
Well, Sony's making that claim, but the trailer had Ark in it on the Xbox conference. So I don't know.
I don't think they would do that. At the same time, I did not notice that during the Sony. My Coke bottle fell over. I'm like, no, I want to reach for my Coke.
All right. Well, let's go ahead and keep moving down the line. Brinson, did you have any high or low points for the Xbox conference?
So I'm just going to start by sounding like a broken record, but I, too, only really watched the trailers after they hit YouTube. I don't really stop to watch the entire conferences. It's just easier to watch the trailers, get straight to the point, especially since I do work full-time, so I don't really have time to watch the conferences live. But I kind of had a little bit of buyer's remorse just because I did recently acquire an Xbox One. And so I was just like, oh, okay, well, I would not have minded a smaller Xbox, but it is what it is. Yeah, but I mean, it is what it is, and now I'm not getting any sleep thanks to Tomb Raider, which is just fine, which is so weird for me to say. And then there were like a few, then I like watched some of the game trailers, because the only really main reason why I got an Xbox is just for exclusives, because kind of like what Romney is saying, if it's on the PS4, it typically is also on Xbox One. The only real reason why I got an Xbox One at this point is because I wasn't going to wait anymore for Rise of the Tomb Raider.
Yep.
So I mean, I've been playing some console exclusives, and there was one called Recore that I thought looked pretty cool, so I'll be picking that up in the next few months.
Which I have a feeling we're gonna. So you mentioned Recore, and I'm kind of surprised that Romney didn't just immediately groan. Matt, I could actually see you talking, but it looks like your audio's muted for some reason.
My audio's muted?
Oh, there you go.
I was just mouthing as I was sitting here thinking high points. I just remembered one thing from the Microsoft panel that I forgot about.
Okay.
They say something about now making it so if you buy the game for the Xbox One physical copy, you can get it. You can also have a digital copy for your PC. Was I hearing that part right? Who watched?
Yes. Yeah, they call it. They're calling it like Windows 10 exclusives.
Yeah. So if you buy an Xbox copy of it, you have the same key for Windows 10, so you could technically take it with you.
Or plays the other way. I mean.
Yes.
It works the other way too.
Yeah, you could get a Windows 10 version, like a PC version, and be able to play on your Xbox. At least that's their claim.
I'm going to say this right now. Not a fan of Microsoft, but that's a good move.
No, that is. It's one of those things that I've appreciated that Sony has done, especially with their dying Vita, is that at least some PS4 games are actually going to the Vita and giving it at least some kind of life.
I'm really glad the Vita doesn't survive. It's like, that's a genius idea for a console.
It was, and I like it, but apparently everybody else didn't.
I can't afford anything right now, but I would totally get a Vita if I could have. It stayed around.
So Moving down the line here, Aldo, your high points and your low points of the Xbox conference.
Oh,
Aside
man.
from making fun of me.
Apart from, okay, no more high points then. I'm just kidding. No, so I mean, I got my spreadsheet here with all my notes I took during work, as I should not have. But, so specifically, the HDR gameplay with Play Anywhere, those are cool. A lot of the new Xbox Live features are actually pretty cool, mostly because Sony hasn't announced or talked about doing anything similar to it. I mean, Sony still doesn't let you change your username, so
Yeah,
there
I
you
don't
go.
like that.
So they have like the clubs, the Looking for group, arena, all that stuff looks really cool. The trailer for the Happy Few, the announcement for Gwent and Tekken 7, that stuff looks really cool. I like their whole No Child Left Behind policy with all their new Xbox consoles coming out, where anything you buy will be playable on anything that you buy. So
Now, I just want to make sure of one thing, because I have a feeling at least one thing on both of our notes was there, and we were excited for, was Scalebound.
I thought Scalebound looked cool, but it's not. I'm not sold. It's not new to me. I know a lot of people are freaking out. It looks great. It looks fantastic. It's not new to me. I played Draken Rider. I played all these other games that involve you riding a dragon, fighting other things.
Oh, yeah, that one.
It's not anything new per se. I mean, it looks awesome, but I'm not hyped on it.
Yeah, the other thing, I mean, we got a multiplayer trailer for it, which a multiplayer demo, for lack of a better term, but I really wanted to see more on the story, and we still haven't gotten anything on that.
Yeah, I mean,
on that trailer.
honestly, the best part of this, I mean, for me, one of the best parts of this whole thing was them talking about Scorpio, which I'll talk about a little bit more in a second, but that and their more gameplay for Final Fantasy 15 was really cool.
Yeah.
No, my problem with Microsoft right now is Microsoft is no longer, at least their Xbox stuff, isn't really geared toward hardcore gamers anymore. They don't have anything to hook you or sell you on an Xbox console, especially if you're a PC gamer. If you have a decently built PC computer, you have no reason to buy an Xbox anymore.
Nope.
Everything they release on Xbox is coming out on a
Unless
computer.
Yeah, unless you prefer to sit on the couch and play games, you really don't have any motivation. But then again, you could easily do that with a PC.
Yeah. So
That's the
honestly, their Xbox is now aimed at casual players. Like when I was looking at Scorpio, everything they talked about, it's honestly them telling them, if you don't know how to build a computer, you don't know what parts to buy, just buy an Xbox. You get the 4K stuff that PC gamers have had for years. You get all these connectivity, and you know you get the same experience because we're selling the same games on the Xbox that we are on the PC. So there you go.
Mm-hmm.
That's honestly what it feels like. It's almost like they're slapping Steam in the face. It's like, you remember how Steam tried to do those overpriced computers that don't really work? Buy an Xbox. We guarantee it'll work.
Yeah, well, the other thing that actually kind of bugged me about Scorpio personally was that they spent so much time advertising it as the most powerful console built for gamers, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But then I kind of looked at it and went, well, here's the thing. Computers improve over time. Consoles improve over time. So it's not necessarily that this is the most powerful console ever.
I mean, ever.
This is the most powerful console at the moment.
Yeah. And honestly, I mean, they're future-proofing it a little bit, as much as you can with the console. I mean, they have their whole, what was it, like 4 or 8 megaflops that they're adding to it, which is a custom GPU that apparently rivals the NVIDIA 1080.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean that's cool, but at the same time, it's like if you're releasing everything and everything's compatible with all 3 models, then what's the hook?
It's the same argument that you could make with the PlayStation 4 and the PlayStation 4 Neo. If it plays the exact same games, then, you know, why not just go with the base one that probably will cost less? Because that's actually one of the things that comes to my mind is Scorpio, yeah, it can do a whole lot, but it's going to cost more because of that. I
imagine it's going to come down to that, like, probably rendering in 4K, some VR possibilities,
Yeah.
a couple of those things. But what baffles me is that they're saying it'll be compatible with everything, and it's like, so does that mean I can get VR on my normal Xbox One? Does that mean I can get VR or 4K on my Xbox Slim? Because if that's not the case, tell me now.
Yeah, exactly.
You know?
So just kind of wrapping up into my thoughts on the matter, I've already, so we've gone down the panel except for me, and really the only things that kind of stuck out to me at least were Recore looked really good. I'm still worried about that one because of Keiji Inafune and Mighty Number 9, but it's coming out a lot sooner than we thought it was, so I guess we'll see how well it does.
Really? Because just wait until we get like 5 pushback announcements.
That's kind of what I'm waiting for. The September 13th release date was really ambitious, in my opinion.
Yeah.
So at that point, the other thing too was Scalebound. It looked really good as far as I was concerned, but for the most part, aside from a couple of pick-me-ups here and there, I really didn't have a whole lot to be excited for at the Xbox conference, at least not like that wasn't indie related. You know, I saw Cuphead, and I saw that was actually the first time I'd heard that Stardew Valley was coming to the consoles, and I was excited about that. The first time I'd seen any of these console makers at this E3 talk about Bloodstained, Ritual of the Night, and all of that stuff. But again, they all had their own trailers, and they were all showcased there. Maybe aside from We Happy Few, which I'm excited for, but kind of in a BioShock way, if that makes sense. So,
love me some BioShock.
So if anybody has any final thoughts, then we'll move on to the next major conference that happened, and frankly the most controversial.
Did Microsoft really say during their Project Scorpio presentation that they had people who don't know what hardware to get for their computers?
Yes, they had like that whole moment where it's like people don't know what to get for their computers, and people don't.
I'm going to tell you this right now, Microsoft. We have Google.
Well, I mean, you say
Google,
that, but there are still casual people who don't.
That was a burn on Bing, guys.
Well, I mean, the joke that I actually... So me and my brother were bouncing this back and forth when we saw the Scorpio announcement, and his first inclination was, well, here's the thing. If you want to be a PC gamer and you don't know anything about buying a PC, you probably already have a Steam machine. Oh, wait, they're not doing very well either. So either way, you're screwed. So you're just probably going to go get an Xbox.
Money on that thing.
So let's go ahead and move on into the most, quote, controversial of the conferences and also the most controversial of announcements. Because, hey, you guys like hearing about those, right? And that, of course, was Electronic Arts.
You're going to have to count me out of this one. I have not had a chance to watch it. Sorry.
That's all right. You didn't.
That happened the day we did the podcast last week. So
the next day.
The day after, yeah.
It was the day after?
Yeah.
Yep. And
then crap.
Was basically the one that raised my blood pressure about 20 knots.
So my friend's friggin' happy because he's all, yay, they have a Mass Effect game. I'm like, do you know if it's going to be any good? No. Yes, actually, yes. I'm like, okay.
Well, the problem was that a majority of EA was, aside from their sports games they had plenty to announce, but they usually do. If you were interested in any other franchise aside from that, maybe Titanfall 2 is an exception in that, but most of them were stuff's coming.
I forget that EA produced that one.
So, obviously we know that Aldo doesn't have a whole lot to say on the matter, but before we actually get over to Brinton, this is how infuriated Drac got in the middle of the EA conference. Because, well, they kept on advertising that they were going to have some major Star Wars announcements. Intent. Alex, do I have permission to read this again?
You can read it, or if you're afraid of waking up your baby, I can read it.
I will read it. It's okay. I think we'll be okay. So this is literally what I sent to him right after the conference began, or right after the conference wrapped up. Wow, that would have been a great Star Wars announcement, EA, if you actually, I'm going to curse here, people, actually fucking announced something. Alex responds, so which was it this time?
Are we not supposed to curse during this whole podcast?
No, I make that my own personal kind of thing.
We kind of try to keep it a minimum in case we want to expand.
Yes, so my next response was, it was the Skywalker Ranch trailer, you know, the one that happened like a couple of years ago, only 5 to 6 shorter, separate times. Alex's response, O, ellipses, M, ellipses, G, ellipses. My response was simply, yeah, seriously, here's the breakdown. DICE, we've got stuff coming for Battlefront. Motive, we're working with DICE on said stuff for Battlefront. Galaxy of Heroes, stuff is coming. BioWare, stuff is coming to Old Republic. Respawn Entertainment, we're working on a game. Visceral, so are we. End of announcement.
I watched the trailer too, and it's just like, it's that and a whole lot. I just love Star Wars, and I'm so excited I get to work on it. Congratulations.
It's funny because shortly after that, I got a text from Adam as well, where he pretty much says, like, I love you, Rami, but damn it, you weren't just right last night, you were right 5 times over.
Yes, and actually I need to confirm that is actually 6 times over because of all the companies. So let's go ahead and go down the line. Brinton, what were your thoughts on the Electronic Arts announcements that you have at least heard of?
Everything you said. No, I didn't even bother because like everything you just shared, you shared with me as well on Monday. So I didn't even bother. I was just like at that point, I just thought to myself, why sit here and watch a conference on literally nothing when I could prepare for Nintendo?
Well, again, technically, if you're a Madden fan or you're a FIFA fan, you didn't miss out. Titanfall had a big announcement with its single-player campaign, but me and Aldo kind of went back and forth because Aldo had to confirm to me that they actually did have a single-player campaign in Titanfall 1. It was just kind of tied into the multiplayer as well. And then maybe the Battlefield fans, you had something on it. It's just that nuts. Battlefield 1 is obviously going to be a big thing for EA, but you're not talking to a panel of anybody who cares. That's the thing. So
I just said I'll save myself an hour and just not bother because it's EA games.
Well, yeah, exactly. Like I played FIFA a lot with my dad when I was a kid back in like the PS1 era, but after like PS2 came out and they, you know, and things started shifting in that direction, that's when I went to Nintendo, as you all know, and at that point, it was just kind of like we stopped playing sports games in my family. And so, I mean, I tell my dad every year, oh, look at the graphics. Oh, look how good it looks. Oh, blah, blah, blah. And
but
every year,
that's the thing.
Oh, it's wonderful, whatever.
That's the thing, is like, you know, EA has to make these sports announcements. That's just the bottom line. They have to do it. That's their bottom dollar. That's where a lot of their funds are coming in. But, you know, the games that people are legitimately excited about, like Mass Effect, they had virtually nothing. And I'm not saying that's a bad thing because I didn't expect BioWare to have a whole lot. But, again, at least have something. They had nothing to talk about with any of these Star Wars games and therefore wasted our time for 30 to 40 minutes. And that's the part that bugged me.
I mean, I just remembered something that I had stated when we were chatting on Monday, Adam. But essentially what I want to say to that is, I find it ridiculous. Like if I were a CEO or somebody who was in charge of all that, and I saw that was the presentation that we were going to be presenting to gamers and like-minded people at a convention such as E3, I'd be like, are you freaking kidding me? We're not going. This is nothing. We're literally presenting nothing. Like, I don't know how anybody could feel happy and confident and give themselves praise and be like, yeah, that was a good E3. We did a good job. Seriously?
Well, Peter Moore thinks they did a good job. But then again, Peter Moore thinks a lot of things.
Well, clearly he's an idiot, so...
Matt, do you have any high points or low points from Electronic Arts at all?
He's just speechless.
Well,
I don't know. I just have my friend who's friggin' happy about the whole Mass Effect game. It's like, I'm looking at E3, I'm like, no, okay, E3, I'm in EA. I'm looking at EA. I'm like, okay. I don't know how to say this. EA is to E3 or to the game industry as I am to my family. I'm just that person who's been so much of a disappointment that there's no more expectations.
Oh my gosh. All right. Well, then, Romney and Alex, you guys have kind of chimed in. Are there any other thoughts that you guys want to add?
I like what Brenton had to say, that, they should be embarrassed that they call this a presentation. Because right now, what is E3? It is essentially a trade show at the end of the day. And they're showing up with bare bones presentations. I'm just like, how does anyone do that in essentially a corporate environment?
No, I mean, I already announced it, or I already talked to numerous people saying that I was very harsh towards EA, and that they at least had something for somebody. But at the same time, I literally had to answer them, if I was your PR guy, and I was told that I had to make like 5 Star Wars announcements that were roughly nothing, I'd walk out of the room. Because I'd literally look my bosses in the eye and say, seriously? You're wanting me to go out and tell them a bunch of nothing. And yes, I know that's what PR kind of does, but these people are literally coming here to see what they have to expect at the holiday season of this year or next year. And you have given nothing in regards to these things. I'm actually kind of surprised Disney didn't come out and kind of shame EA, but, well, Disney doesn't give a crap.
Yeah.
Because they're Disney.
Well, yeah, exactly. It's Disney.
They have no money at stake. They don't care right now.
Yeah, there's no investment for them, so they don't really care.
Let's just cancel Disney Infinity. Yeah, that's Disney's gaming stand.
Yeah, pretty much. So, well, that's pretty much it for EA. So the next thing that I actually want to get into is kind of from our wheelhouse, but there really wasn't a whole lot to talk about on this one either, and that was the Nintendo Treehouse. So I'm sure that some of us will have a lot to talk about, but really, I hate to say this, but every expectation that I had on the Treehouse was pretty much made true, in the fact that they spent way too much time focusing on 2 games, essentially 3. And they could have been showcasing so many more that were coming out this year. I mean, I literally, like, while I was watching the Treehouse, I was listing all of the things that we could have seen trailers for.
Well, I mean, to be fair, they did tell us that. They did say all we're showing. If you had other expectations, that was your bad.
I was expecting them to pull a switcheroo and say, you know what, guys, we're going to talk about these games too.
And that was your bad.
That was you, essentially.
Mm-hmm.
You set yourself up to be this.
That's the one thing.
Sorry, me knowing that they were gonna do like 7 hours of Zelda, I was prepared for 7 hours of Zelda, and those were 7 awesome hours.
Absolutely, I completely agree with Aldo.
Ironically, I did not mean to wear this shirt today. It's just what I had.
I once again I was watching this at work. Oh God, I hope nobody watches this.
Hey, I'm wearing a Star Wars shirt today. I didn't mean for that either. So
sorry. I don't have a. I was gonna make a quip about me wearing a shirt that would associate to my favorite trailer of all of E3, but at the same time, the story is a bit extensive after that.
Yep. So let's go ahead and go down the line. I will say honestly that the best part about that was probably the trailer for Breath of the Wild, which is the new title for Zelda. I thought it was okay. I if anything, with all of the stuff that was being shown from Zelda and from Pokemon, I was actually receiving the most shocks from Zelda. First of all, having what I'm presuming, and yes, I've said this to all those, I'm presuming it is a voiced Zelda.
It's not
saying "Open your eyes, Link." I don't know that that's not Zelda.
I mean, you're right. I also don't know that is not Zelda.
But based on other predictions, now that you mentioned Zelda, I've actually seen an outrage of people who are angry that you can't play as Zelda. I don't know what it is. I'm not going to wrong anybody. At the same time, I'm almost on their same side if I actually expected this. But people thought that this game being an overworld, you would have the option to choose between playing Link or Zelda. I don't know why people got that.
Well, not playing as Zelda. They wanted to play as a female version of Link.
Yeah,
there's that, but no, there's actually like a side of people who said they wanted to play as Zelda. Like, it's like, we don't need a female Link, we need to play as Zelda. I'm like, okay, so here's this going on Twitter.
Yeah, that's just a bunch of problems from both sides of the camp.
I mean, I could be crazy, but I seem to recall way back when the game was first teased, like 2 years ago, that there was some sort of potential indication that there might be a male-female split, but
they did play with it. I remember Aonuma also talking about like it could be a female or it could not be, and everybody was like yes, and then he.
Carter's gonna be a guy because no shame, no hate League. It's just.
Plus, we did.
I don't know, but at the same time, I kind of think how cool would it be if you could play as a female Link now.
I don't see any. I mean, I don't see any difference.
By the way, I'm officially calling it head production. That's not even the right term. I'm trying to figure out the right term for it. It's like head canon, but it stands for production, where people have their own idea how this game is going to be. So to them, that's how the game is actually going to be, and to their dismay, it's not how it actually is.
Yeah. So.
Plus, there was that whole thing with Linkle. Whatever happened to that?
Oh,
yeah, that was just exclusive to Hyrule Warriors. That was pretty much it.
Yeah, we didn't really expand more on it besides that.
The other thing I also want to mention that was very, very much out of place, at least for me, and now I have a feeling that people will disagree with me on this, and I even disagree to some extent, because there are elements in other games that are just minor. The sheer amount of technology that I got to see in the experience was awesome, but also very, whoa! What the crap is this doing here?
Oh, this thing.
Yeah, I was gonna say, this whole time I've been coming up with names for the Zelda game, calling it like a subtitle was Legend of Zelda Far Cry, Legend of Zelda Just Cause. But then, of course, I remember the Sony panel. Now me and my friend officially call Legend of Zelda, what was it, Zero Dawn?
Horizon Zero Dawn. Yeah,
Horizon Zero Dawn. That's what we just call Legend of Zelda Zero Dawn. We take the same tack from the other one.
But at the same time, like
which, by the way, the Horizon Zero Dawn, there's your female Breath of the Wild Zelda game there.
Pretty much.
With robots, too.
So, I mean, I'm not saying that the technological elements was bad. I liked it. It was just very fish out of water. I never expected this level of technology to be in a Zelda game. Like, I never expected to see Link walking out of a cryo tank, roughly.
Did we?
I like it.
I was going to say, you mentioned that there's only like 2 or 3 games. I don't remember. Does anybody know there was 2 days for that treehouse?
There were 3 days for that treehouse.
Yeah.
3? There's a 3rd day?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they covered Zelda for 3 days.
Well, hold on. They also switched to some of the Sun and Moon. They also switched to talk about Pokemon Go.
Okay, I was trying to make sure because I wondered if any of us here actually knew there was more, but now here I am being.
And they also had extra stuff for Monster Hunter Generations.
I did my job.
Yeah, they did end up showing some trailers for games coming out this year, which was a pleasant surprise. I have to applaud Nintendo for that because based on what they were talking about, months prior for this week, pretty much it was very much under the assumption we are only talking about Zelda. And then as we got closer and closer to these past few days, okay, we're also going to talk about Sun and Moon. Then the conference happened, and it was, okay, here's Pokemon Go, here's trailers about games that we talked about back in March. So I have to applaud Nintendo for that because at least we got some more information on other things that are coming out that could potentially tie over fans till March 2017. Personally, for me, the only thing that I gave a damn about out of that entire conference was Breath of the Wild. So I do have to wait the very arduous several months so I can play the freaking game. And I'm not super excited for it, but it's just how it is. And
oh yeah, I forgot. I'll save it for my part, actually. Sorry.
Yeah. So, any other additional thoughts that Aldo or Brenton want to bring into it? I'm kind of where you guys are at. I was excited for Zelda. I thought that they had some good things to announce for Pokemon, but
like for Zelda. Okay, he's gonna say, am I allowed to say anything or no?
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
We're just talking about Zelda. I wasn't expecting the show a lot more as they pretty much were trying to refrain from showing any spoilers, so they stuck to the same area. So oftentimes I kind of lost interest watching the conference because of that. I was figuring they're just going to keep showing the same thing over and over again.
No, they expanded. They showed the open world. I know that there were videos later that were of dungeons.
Yeah.
Like trials, I believe they called them.
Trials, the shrines with the ring to the old shrine that one girl feels bad for. I remember that commentary.
Yeah, and so that's pretty much it, though, at least that I was aware of, because I wasn't able to keep track of it all. But
I thought what they did show in terms of like just that one region, and then I can't remember what portion of the treehouse it was, but they zoomed out on the map, and they're like, this is actually how the entire overworld looks like, and we're only showing you this one area. And I was just like, holy crap.
It was right as soon as they walked out of the tomb, when they actually show that this is the map of the Great Plateau, and this is the overall arcing map, and you can't even see it all. That already was a big announcement as far as I was concerned, because that's probably, it has to be the biggest Zelda map they've ever had in a game.
Well, after, so like I completely agree with you, Adam. And after just like watching everything, because I unfortunately wasn't able to watch every little thing on Breath of the Wild, but it finally made clear to me a little bit more why it's taking them so long to get this game out to us. Yeah. I feel like and this is something that I was thinking about when I was heading on over to your place earlier today. And the thing is, I feel that if they actually gave little bits of information over these past 2 years instead of shoving it in our faces these past 3 days, then I think that we would have had a better understanding why it has been delayed so freaking much. Because they kept teasing, open world Zelda, true RPG Zelda. And in my head, it just didn't really click to me what that truly meant until these past couple of days. And I was like, oh, they're taking a Far Cry, Fallout, true RPG approach to Zelda, and truly, as they kept calling it, breaking the conventions and the traditions of The Legend of Zelda. And so here I am sitting, and I'm like, okay, I'm glad I'm finally now getting this information, and watching that reveal trailer, just literally getting chills, because I was like, I've been waiting for this for 2 freaking years.
Yep.
And I was happy and pleased with what I've seen, but if I'm going to talk about the drawbacks and the things that I didn't like about the Nintendo conference, again, I feel like the information that was shoved and thrown in our faces during those 3 days could have easily, little by little...
It could have been done with a demo. It really could have.
Definitely, and at least definitely through these past 2 years. Because again, it would have given me a better idea of why of all these delays, and I finally now understand. So, yes, it is a pain, and you're going to hear me gripe and moan and complain about waiting for March 2017 to freaking arrive, but I get it now, and no, I'm not completely okay with it, but it makes sense. The game is huge. There's so many minute details to this game, and honestly, I want them to be able to have that time to
I just want the dang thing in my hand. That's really all I want.
Me too. I'm dying inside because it looks so freaking beautiful, and I just want to immerse myself into that world so effing bad.
Yep. Now we're actually kind of running out of time, and I do want to actually get into the details of Zelda with Romney and Alex, but also get into Pokemon Sun and Moon for the announcements they had there. So Alex and Romney, did you have anything that you wanted to add for Zelda?
I guess I'll go ahead and start with Zelda. Most I saw was pretty much all I really saw was the reveal trailer and the Wolf Link Amiibo trailer. Those are the only ones I was able to watch of all the trailers. But based on just on my impressions from the trailer, I am excited seeing this new direction, since we do pretty much have a regime change at Nintendo as to who's in charge of the Zelda franchise, and so I am excited that. And I'm probably going to get a lot of hate for saying this, but I'm actually kind of glad that Miyamoto is stepping away, because it looks like the people here, led by Aonuma, are actually innovating, but aren't forcing an innovation down your throat for no good reason. They're actually innovating in the sense of, okay, let's actually do something we haven't done with this franchise, but, have some logic to it, and not force the gamepad down people's throats just because reasons.
Exactly. Alex, did you have any other thoughts to add to Zelda, or... I know that at least you saw the trailer.
Yeah, I saw the trailer. I hate to say it, I'm still kind of 50-50 split on Zelda, because I've never been a big Zelda player in the past. I'm really just barely getting into the franchise, mostly thanks to you. And, the game does look amazing. It does look really gorgeous from what I can see out of it. It's just the concept of it being such a giant scale world is what's a little nerve-wracking to me, mostly because those aren't the kind of games I like to play too much. I don't like taking, 30 years to cross the map. I'd rather just get to my next destination, my next objective.
I kind of agree with that, yeah.
And kind of keep moving along. And in fairness, this could have also been just manipulation for the demo itself, but everything I've seen out of like the demos from people playing it on the show floor, it looks kind of barren still. Which, if you're gonna do a giant open world, please put stuff in it. Don't just make giant open worlds for the sake of giant open worlds. But
that's a good point.
But again, it could easily just be demo manipulation to make it run a little smoother and just not bog down the time people are playing, so other people can play.
Okay. Are there any specific details that we want to go into for Pokemon Sun and Moon? I know we got named legendaries, so we know that the legendaries on the boxes are Solgaleo and Lunala.
I mean, technically we got that information beforehand, but
the biggest feature that I saw from the Treehouse for them was the Battle Royale feature, which is now going to be involved. I think it's online multiplayer, isn't it?
I don't know. I don't see why it wouldn't be, but they also didn't explicitly say that.
Yeah, we didn't get a whole lot of details with it, especially the concept. I knew a lot of people were like, well, can you team up? They didn't answer that. It's free for all as far as they were answering.
You can, but you have to plan it out.
Okay.
So, I mean, it's a free for all like in Smash Brothers. So it's you can team up as much on somebody as you can like in Smash Brothers by going, hey, let's be dicks and getting up on that one guy. But
Dark Souls, sounds like.
Kind of, yeah.
Sorry, what are we talking about?
Pokemon.
My brain, okay. Now I realize my brain shut down when we started talking about Pokemon. I'm like, here.
Right. Anyways, but we didn't really get that much information apart from the new Battle Royale mode. We got the names of 3 more Pokemon, which whoop-de-doo, I guess.
Yeah. Proper pronunciation of the starters, because they had to mention that. I don't know why.
Those people keep mispronouncing them, I guess.
I guess. So let's go ahead and move. So if that's final thoughts, let's go ahead and move into what was probably considered for the, what is this, the 4th year running, 3rd year running, the best conference at E3, which was PlayStation and the Sony conference.
Which, I mean, can we talk about the fact that everybody was like hardcore, like, buy our stuff, buy our stuff, buy our stuff, and Sony was just like, do you want an hour of trailers? Here you go. Do you want 5 minutes of Kojima? Here you go.
That was the biggest thing, is like, compared to the other ones where Microsoft had, a couple trailers and then they would announce another major product. Sony was game. Oh, look, Hideo Kojima, game.
Yeah, and oddly enough, that was like where most of the trailers I did manage to see came from were from Sony's conference. And to use kind of the scale that I had from a fake graph that I never actually made, I mean, in the case of EA, I gave 0 fucks. In the case of Nintendo, I gave 1.5 fucks. With Sony, I'd put it at least a solid 5 fucks.
Well, then at that point, it's a great thing that we're talking about it now. So we're just going to go down the line, and I'll go ahead and start, and then we'll go to Romney next, which is, so the highlights of mine were God of War, looked really, really good, and for no other reason than I got Christopher fucking Judge playing old Kratos, and I'll never get over that because Teal'c playing Kratos is awesome in my book.
Oh, man.
The next one, at least that was a high point for me, was the Horizon Zero Dawn gameplay demo that looked really, really good. Answered a few more questions, but kept a lot of things in the dark. And so I liked that concept. Resident Evil 7, I have to admit, it looked fairly good. It looked like Capcom was going back to their roots, but
let's hope
it is Capcom, so I'm not holding my finger, or I'm not crossing my fingers.
Yeah, I'm kind of with you there.
Hey, yep. I remember last time they got the team who did Resident Evil to do Evil Within. Isn't that right? How it worked? Remember, somebody told me.
No, that was Bethesda. Yeah, that was Bethesda.
That was Bethesda, but there's like another team who was pretty much in part of the control of the Resident Evil franchise.
Well, it's because they got Shinji Mikami, the director of the Resident Evil franchise.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking of. I was trying to think who it was. It's kind of a shame that it went to just being a Resident Evil 6 game made by Bethesda.
Yep.
Minus the Skyrim glitches.
Oh, I actually forgot The Last Guardian. To the people who finally got a trailer and a release date announcement, I can't help but feel nothing but praise for you guys.
Oh,
you guys have nearly waited 10 years, and you finally are getting it in your hands
By
in
the way,
October.
so last week when we were talking about it, you were optimistic and you said you wanted Last Guardian something, and I sat there ever the pessimist, being you dream
Yes,
too
you
much.
did.
You dream too much, Adam. Stop it. And I remember sitting there during the press conference at work. Wait, actually, no, this was at home. At home, because it was at 8 at night. I was sitting there as they showed The Last Guardian with my jaw open, just thinking to myself, holy shit, this is a real thing that's really coming out.
But
What the hell?
technically, although you were half right, because I was also saying I wanted to see some Shenmue 3 stuff, and I didn't see any of that.
Yeah.
So Resident Evil 7, the Crash 1, 2, and 3 announcement was huge as far as I'm concerned. I've only even played 1, and I was excited for all the Crash fans that are finally getting all of these games back and rebooted or remastered. Obviously,
you definitely know how I felt about it.
yeah. Obviously, Hideo freaking Kojima coming out with Death Stranding was awesome.
Oh man, that actually was
And
kind of heartbreaking.
And I will admit, even though we don't know a whole lot about this yet, the Spider-Man game did look good.
Yes.
I will also go into my negatives because I'm already figuring I'm going to get nasty comments about this. But my lowest point.
Get nasty comments. Just say what you need to say.
My worst was Days Gone. And the main reason that Days Gone was because I am so sick and tired of post-apocalyptic futures and zombie apocalypses and all of that. And granted, yes, I'm a Resident Evil fan, but Death Stranding just looked to me like pretty much Last of Us with a horde mode is really what it looked like. So those were my high points and my low points.
Screen share.
What's this? I saw that too, actually.
Actually,
Konami's tears.
After the Death Stranding came out, I actually tweeted out to Konami, suck it, you have no idea what you just lost.
Exactly. Romney, let's go into your high points and your low points of the Sony conference.
Well, and again, keep in mind, I didn't watch the conference, I just watched the trailers that came out, and of the trailers I saw, I mean, yeah, God of War 4 looks impressive, but I've never really been a God of War fan, and so it's kind of both the high and low point, and that would be Resident Evil 7. On the one hand, it looks like they're going back to their horror roots. But on the other hand, in the back of my mind, I'm thinking, how long before Capcom screws this up?
Yeah, I
because-
agree completely.
Yeah, because, I mean, all the same thoughts I had while watching this trailer were the same thoughts I had while watching the trailer for Resident Evil 5, and thinking, oh, this looks scary, oh, it looks interesting. How long before we end up seeing Chris Redfield punching another boulder?
Yeah, that's kind of my worry here, because I mean, the trailer that we got shown looked legitimately like horror. But how long is that going to last before we see a legitimate trailer that is nothing more than an action game?
Yeah, and that's what worries me. And in the case of things like Death Stranding, it was interesting to see, but I'm not going to get super excited for Death Stranding because, well, we don't really know that much about it. For all we know, all what we saw was just a glorified tech demo with Norman Reedus, and that was pretty much it.
You
So-
mean Norman
his
Reedus from The
naked
Walking
glory.
Dead?
And he was naked. Best part.
No, that's the best part that I saw from all of the Twitter reactions on Facebook was everybody's like, "Oh my gosh, it's Norman Reedus from The Walking Dead!" It's like you had to say that in its full capacity.
Yeah, but at the same time, no shit. Did you not play PT?
Well, I mean, I didn't play PT, but I knew it was in it.
I mean, by all means, it's amazing. Yeah. But it's kind of the same time, it's like it's expected. So,
Yeah.
if we're mentioning that, can I say one thought?
Yeah,
I was
go ahead.
so sad to see that Guillermo del Toro did not take up the project again.
Well, given what happened, he's pretty much sworn off video games after the whole wake of the Konami thing.
He actually made a tweet saying, "If I probably try another video game, I'm going to set someone's house on. It's going to set someone else's house on fire."
That's the sad part is like he's
Like,
afraid that he's
yeah,
going to cause
no.
World War III or something.
It wasn't even Guillermo's fault. I feel so sad because
Well, it's because Guillermo has had a bad track record. Because when he's tried to start working on video games with other people, bad stuff has always happened.
But he can beat it. It's just life. Life's a little bitch, and you gotta just beat. You don't beat life. You just.
Yep.
What do you do with life at the bitch?
So.
Well, to get back on point, as for the Spider-Man trailer, well, that one didn't really impress me because it was very much a case of, oh, so they just made extra stuff that could have been in Civil War or Homecoming, and that's pretty much all I saw. Was just the whole game's probably just going to be a glorified trailer for Spider-Man: Homecoming.
It could be. I really do think that in the end.
No, so they've actually done an interview with who are the people? It's Insomniac. So they did an interview with Insomniac, and they asked them if it was related to the movie at all, and they said no. That's specifically why the logo and what the costume looks so different than what the Tony Stark one had. To make it visually obvious that it is not the same costume or same character or same universe. That's why he has a big white spider on his chest as opposed to a black one.
I was gonna say to Romney, Insomniac learned that lesson with Ratchet and Clank. They're not gonna do a Spider-Man.
Yeah, but point being, it's kind of a case of looking at it. It was very much, oh, this is probably just going to be a bunch of quick time events. So, if they want to get me excited on Spider-Man, I'm going to wait until I actually see some actual gameplay where it's like, oh, this is how the game actually looks.
Romney, have you played Infamous?
I have not.
So part of the reason why me and a lot of people are excited is because that's the same people that made Infamous, and Infamous
Wait. Wasn't Sucker Punch Infamous?
Was it?
Yeah, it was Sucker Punch.
No, it's Sucker Punch, because it was the slide maker. Which is funny, because that's how I heard about Infamous was from Aldo.
Yeah, but to kind of defend my point, the thing is I'm not coming into this as a fan of Insomniac. I'm coming into this as a beat-down fan of Spider-Man who's seen the character put through the ringer so much that I just have a hard time really caring about anything the character is associated with.
I mean, honestly,
what else does Sony...
The games aren't that bad, though. I mean...
Well, some of them. I mean, I haven't played Spider-Man 2, but I enjoyed the first movie tie-in because I have a lot of fond memories for that, especially Green Goblin mode. But it's very much a case, as someone who has seen Spider-Man put through so much, I just find a hard time caring. I really do.
Okay, so moving forward, Alex, do you have any high points or low points for the Sony conference?
Well, I have to agree with Romney here that the Spider-Man trailer does nothing for me. I don't care really who's behind it because it didn't show me anything. It was a glorified movie trailer at the end of the day. There was no gameplay, and it looks like it probably will be a bunch of quick time events.
Okay.
So I don't have much confidence in the game until I see something substantial out of it. The new Kojima game, okay, I guess. You know, good for Hideo Kojima being back in the game here, but it again showed me nothing other than, yay, Kojima, you might have just, it's enough, go start making your movies already. You clearly just what you want to do.
I still to this day will defend that. Look, I'm not saying anything bad about Death Stranding. I thought that was fine. But the introduction that Hideo got on the stage and how they flubbed the whole creating the stairs in front of him and he just didn't give a crap is forever going to be the moment that will be remembered from that, which is just like, I'm Hideo Kojima. I don't care if you're having problems on my show. I'm going to introduce my game.
Yeah.
Kojima.
One thing I do notice about Death Stranding I forgot to mention is that I get the feeling Kojima's going to be going a lot more environmental this time around.
Yeah, we were talking about that earlier, actually, is that this is looking very environmental.
Well, yeah, because it's very obvious it's going to be dealing with oil dust, the black sludge, and all that. I'm just thinking, and especially with all the dead animals on the coastline, I'm thinking, yeah.
Although, I'm going to add in this concept, because the one thing that stands out from the trailer is those 4 or the 5 beings that are off in the sky. So I think it will probably have an environmental message, Romney, but I also think it's going to have a twist that we haven't yet seen.
Just watch for the twist is that those 5 form together to form Captain Planet.
I was going to say, maybe they'll all form together to create... Maybe they'll all come together to form Liquid Snake. I don't know.
I just picture this dark, gritty version of Captain Planet now.
Oh, jeez. Damn it.
No,
I'm going to be picturing that for the rest of the night.
I did want to say, we are going to critique about Hideo Kojima getting that big introduction. I would say that he at least deserves it after what Konami did to him.
No. Absolutely agree. So moving on, Matt, what were your
Adam?
Oh, sorry.
I haven't finished.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm gonna let you finish now.
Jeez. Why do you do this to me every time on the show?
Quit being Kanye West, Adam.
Anyway,
I'm gonna let you
as for
finish.
that was sort of my low points. For a high point, I did finally check out the trailer to I Am Setsuna. It looks good. I'm excited for it. I've been excited since they announced it, sort of being in the vein of classical Square RPGs like Chrono Trigger especially. Has a lot of Chrono Trigger vibes. The only thing that concerns me, it looks like the whole soundtrack is just going to be piano, which, it's nothing against a piano or piano players, but I find piano as a lone instrument a very boring instrument to utilize, so I'm hoping it's a little more than that. But the game looks really great. I'm going to pick it up when it comes out on Steam in July.
Okay. And that's it, or is there additional? Okay.
That is finally it.
All right. I'm done Kanyeing you. Matt, what were your high and your low points of the Sony conference?
Sony was my absolute favorite out of all the conferences. I've had the most fun just watching the whole thing. Low point, personally, probably was the comment section. I was watching it from their website. I saw some people just making their offensive comments. Like, I turn that off. Yeah. I really don't have too many low points. I think the only thing I could complain about is they releasing that VR thing, which, heck yeah, the VR for the Sony, but the VR itself costs the same price as the console itself.
Yeah. I've already gotten questions. I've already gotten questions asking if I'm going to review, like if I'm going to foot the $400 to get the PlayStation VR. I'm not, because I'm not saying the games that they introduced were bad. I don't think they are. If anything, they did more than EA. They actually announced a Star Wars game.
I'm not going to lie.
Yeah.
Sorry. I'm not gonna lie, but this VR stuff is starting to come out like the same wave as motion controls to me.
Yeah,
and it just doesn't sound like just doesn't sound like a good idea to me. I mean, people love the idea of having something that gives you VR, but here I was the other day watching Peanut Butter Gamer play some game on the VR headset. He's trying to grab for a table that wasn't even there. I'm just like, how much fun are we gonna really have with VR?
Yeah, well, I think VR will be a gimmick. Just like
it's gonna fade or go to a niche crowd in the end.
Yep.
Those kids who have enough money to buy a $400 headset so they can play that X-Wing Battlefront game thing.
Yeah. Again, the irony. Sony actually announced a Star Wars game.
Highlights go when it comes to the PlayStation is that there were a lot of trailers I was not expecting. Like, I did not expect them to actually come out with the Death Stranding finally coming out. I was like, okay. And The Last Guardian having a release date, that blew me away. Ultimately, I can just say a lot of these trailers have surprised me. I was actually very fascinated with it all. I can only say that the one thing I never thought I would actually be the happiest with was that God of War trailer.
That you were not happy with it, or you were happy?
No, I'm surprised by it because I was gonna say, ironically, like I didn't mean to wear a Zelda shirt, but like if I had a shirt based on the number one thing I loved from the E3. Here I am mixing it up now. If I had something to wear from the E3, I would not have owned it because, well, I don't know if the God of War game is going to come out, but I've played the first one. It was fine. I didn't bother with 2 and 3. But when I saw the trailer for that game, I did not think I was looking at the same God of War. I was morally interested because everything I've always perceived and understood from God of War has been changed. I'm looking at that game like it's going to be the best thing for me right now. It's like,
but at the same time, it's a great idea to change things up, and
yeah, great way to change it up. I love how they're actually expanding both the story and universe by having him go to the Nordic areas of the world, where now he's fighting the Nordic monsters. He's gonna probably fight Nordic gods. I don't know, but at the same time, that's fun world building as they're just showing that everything of the mythology exists in the same universe.
Exactly. No, I agree.
Jeez Louise, that trailer was a piece of art to me. I love that trailer.
Well, and the weird part is that it felt like an Uncharted game, or it felt like a Last of Us game, more than it did actually feel like God of War.
I know, but that's also because I'm not sure what stands out for God of War. I guess it is the over-the-top fighting, gore, and moments. I mean, that one Kratos' position in Mortal Kombat.
I'm not knocking it. I thought that was a great choice.
It's like, for me, I'm looking at that trailer thinking, out of all the games, I think the one game I have the most interest for now is that God of War trailer. I'm sitting there just awestruck by the whole thing. Like, I'm telling my friends, like, I just watched E3, and I did not think this would be the best trailer.
Yeah.
It's like, to me, that was the best trailer out of all of E3 for me. Like, it still sits in me. I'll turn it on and just watch it. Oh, man.
Great.
Oh, man!
All right. Well, then we got the highs and lows for Matt. Brinton, what were your highs and lows for the Sony conference?
Well, both you and Romney, and even probably Alex knows because your eardrums are still ringing after the Crash Bandicoot remaster reveal.
Oh, yeah, I forgot about that.
But I would say that definitely was my high from the Sony conference.
Actually, can I interject really quick? There's a story that needs to be told here.
Go for it.
We were actually meeting for, again, there's something going on that we can't really talk about, but when we can, we're more than happy to bring to you. But it just so happened that I was trying to follow the Sony conference, and the first thing that comes up on my screen was Crash. And so I'm like, oh my gosh, Crash announcement, and it was the Skylanders trailer. And so at that point, I'm like, oh my gosh, that was the announcement. It was he's coming to Skylanders. That is the absolute biggest piece of bullcrap. And I immediately said it, and Brinton was just like, to the point of rage. He was pissed. He's like, no, don't you dare do this. And then finally I was able to confirm Crash 1, 2, and 3 and just 180. It's like, woo! Yeah!
Yeah. I was going to say, I'm actually happy to see him as Skylanders because now that Disney Infinity's gone, I actually started loving the idea of collecting toys and figures. Sad that they can't do that for all my favorite video games, but I think I would try out Skylanders because Skylanders has some cool-looking characters. At the same time, it has the problem that the Infinity game Infinity had a problem where you had to buy everything, but the game, for Skylanders, it's a complete game. No DLC, no buying too many expansions. It's more like the game just expands, and you can buy new stuff to play in the game.
Yeah.
Well, you had to buy the new bases and the new games and the new...
You have to buy new bases?
Yeah.
Oh, boy.
Because they have new features.
My friend told me that it didn't have to.
So anyway, Brinton, moving on. So your high points and your low points?
So yeah, my high points definitely was Crash Bandicoot Remastered. I told my entire family because that's what we all grew up on back when we played Crash Bandicoot on PS1, and my little sister was like, "Oh, I can't wait for you to get it so we can all play together again," which I was super excited to hear her say. I also had the opportunity of seeing naked Norman Reedus, which was lovely as well. I've been getting back into my Sony roots, and so I can't really say too much in terms of what I was disappointed with. Everything that, like you said, you were telling us when we had all were meeting on Monday, I had the opportunity to look at in a little bit more detail because, like I said, I watched the trailers. That is probably the most awkward child thing that Norman is holding in his hands.
Yes.
And so, I was fairly pleased with what Sony had presented. Besides Death Stranding and Crash Bandicoot, I feel that there's a couple of really cool games that are coming out. I really liked Detroit Become Human. I thought that looked pretty cool.
Oh!
Yeah, but of course it's David Cage, and he has the tendency of being a little funky with his video games. So when I was watching it, I was just like, yep, just like watching the trailer alone, I was like, yep, this is typical David Cage.
I was going to say, I remember that part. I forgot about that part.
David Cage is the new Peter Molyneux.
But the game still looks really good.
David Cage.
Like the graphics look super polished, and so I mean, I just look forward to seeing more information on some of these games that are coming out. So I was fairly pleased with Sony, like probably more than. Actually, no, never mind. I'm not going to say what I was going to say. The end.
Yep. So Aldo, your high points and your low points, because obviously you had for quite a while here, you had the motion capture picture from. We're guessing Death Stranding with Norman Reedus and Hideo Kojima with a nice little catchphrase to it. So your high points and your low points for the Sony conference.
Let me pull up the spreadsheet.
Has to go to his research.
Actually, so the very first note I have on my for the Sony press conference is orchestra. Hell yeah.
Exactly.
For like the first half of all the trailers and everything, they had a live orchestra playing the music for their trailers, all of that stuff. So that was cool. But yeah, Last Guardian getting released this year. Holy crap! Horizon Zero Dawn looks amazing.
That game looks awesome.
That actually looks like what a next gen game should look like.
Yeah.
Detroit Become Human. I got that same worry as Brenton. It's David Cage, and David Cage is, you know.
David
so,
Cage.
Yeah. A lot of VR stuff. A lot of VR stuff that I'm not really sold on because of this VR and it seems really gimmicky. Like, I made a joke to my friend about this because they showed off the VR for Final Fantasy 15, and I was like, oh, Dirge of Noctis. Because you remember how much everybody loved Dirge of Cerberus?
Yeah, exactly.
Gary, I know people who actually loved that game. It's like
people are wrong.
Play their Final Fantasy game. They're like, they're just Cerberus.
Anyway, Skylanders, blah. Hideo fucking Kojima. One of my notes, all capitals.
Yeah.
That's right. Spider-Man PS4. Screaming like a little girl.
Should have taken notes.
Because I know you guys said it looks like a glorified movie trailer, but I saw a lot of maybe it's because I'm biased and I love Spider-Man 2 Evolved, but I saw a lot of gameplay in it and I saw a lot of cool mechanics, and I don't think it looks like it's gonna be a timing a button thing like you guys.
I'm kind of there too.
Quick time events.
Quick time events, thank you. I don't think it's going to be a bunch of those like you guys said, but at the same time, like I said, that is one of the very many faults I have is that I will defend Spider-Man tooth and nail because I love him that much. Also, so my biggest disappointment was, well, this one is not a disappointment. It was kind of expected. There was no mention of the Vita at all.
Nope.
Which just further cements that they're getting ready to take it out back in like Old Yeller.
Well, they already announced earlier this year that all development for any kind of game had been ceased on the Vita.
Yes, but they didn't talk about third-party support for the Vita, which there is third-party support, but, I mean, judging by E3, you wouldn't know it.
Yeah, Namco Bandai, I know, has a few games coming out to it. Obviously, I Am Setsuna and World of Final Fantasy are set for it. I think Zodiac Age is set for it, too.
In previous years, they usually have an indie showcase. They didn't have that this year, which I thought was a little weird.
That was a little weird because, I mean, this is the generation where they've kind of dominated that, and it was weird to see. Like Microsoft, it made sense because they were trying to get the indies back, but the fact that Sony didn't have it was a little odd.
It was a little odd, but I think at the same time, because they had so much focus on it on previous years, I don't think they were too worried about it.
It could be. They may have been a little confident.
Yeah, the other thing that I was a little disappointed I didn't see was they hardly had any mention of imports, which is one of the biggest reasons why I stick with Sony is because they have the biggest library of like Japanese games, so like Attack on Titan, Hatsune Miku, a whole bunch of other things like the Persona games. Final Fantasy, obviously. But there wasn't any real big focus or mention on them apart from the trailer at the end where they showcased a whole bunch of games, and there was some...
Including Attack on Titan, I think.
What's up?
I think Attack on Titan made that last trailer, but that was it.
Yeah, it made that trailer, but there wasn't that much, and that was a little disappointing to see, but honestly, if you look at Sony's lineup, they have stuff that's coming, so...
It's pretty awesome regardless.
Yeah.
So with that, we actually have 2 other conferences to talk about, and only so much time. Actually, 3 technically, because there were some announcements that people actually did reach out and had questions and wanted people's thoughts. So I'm actually going to kind of breeze through these as quick as I can. Ubisoft, were there any profound thoughts that anybody had? I really didn't. I didn't take a whole lot from it. I liked the fact that we saw For Honor. And Star Trek Bridge Crew looked kind of interesting, but...
Man.
Oh, yeah, so For Honor, jeez,
For Honor.
I am sold on that, 100%.
Yeah. I'm the opposite, actually. I'll tell you this right now. I was told that For Honor was going to be like a mix-up between a Chivalry and Dynasty Warriors. But then I was seeing the gameplay, it just looks like... It looks like a game where they're trying to match Vikings, Knights, and Samurai together.
If you look at the gameplay trailer they released last year, it does look like
It does look like that, yeah.
Like
Yeah, but
Chivalry and Dynasty
I'm
Warriors.
excited because Chivalry, it's not I wouldn't say it's a great combat design. I mean, combat design prize goes to Dark Souls and Bloodborne. That's the best combat system in any video game I can pick. But it's like when I'm watching one thing I've always hated about Assassin's Creed was the combat, how floaty everything is. It's like you press one button, your character does all the running, jumping, and stabbing, and I can do it all in one button. It's like you're taking away the fun from me. You're making me play I feel like I'm actually pigeon. What is it? What's that experiment called where they had the pigeon press the button and see if a nut will come out or something?
I don't know.
I don't know.
Like extra credits kept mentioning it.
The
But
Skinner box.
Skinner box, yeah. Assassin's Creed has a Skinner box combat system. Same thing happened to Batman Arkham games. The same thing happened to Shadows of Mordor. It's like I don't want this shit. I wanted a combat system that I felt like I was in control of. You know, real time moment or real strategy. That's what I got out of Chivalry. It's like, oh heck yeah, they're gonna do that. And then I'm looking at the trailer, and this combat looks just like Assassin's Creed. I'm like, fuck you, Ubisoft.
yeah, so I mean, I had For Honor. I had Star Trek Bridge Crew. Looked interesting for a VR game. It was probably one of the few VR games that actually kind of caught my eye because it's pretty much the Star Trek game that my family wanted for who knows how long. South Park looked good, and I'm glad that it's coming out this year because I think it had like a December announcement this year.
Yeah, it's like really early December.
The one that surprised me though was, again, I'm not a sports game guy, but the new game they had, Steep, actually had me fairly interested, just because of the interesting sites and all that. But aside from that, I really can't think of a whole lot that Ubisoft offered that just made my eyes pop out of their sockets.
Honestly, my biggest thing with Ubisoft is really Aisha Tyler again. Stop it, Jesus Christ.
Yes, and I actually went on a rant in my video. I'm done.
We actually had a drinking game before Aisha Tyler mentioned it, where we were taking a shot for every time they're going to use profanity throughout the whole video.
It's just. I mean, E3 is already a thing about video games. It already seems like this really immature thing. Aisha Tyler just knocks it down to looking like it's ran by 13-year-olds.
Yes.
For 13-year-olds. 13-year-olds making it for 13-year-olds.
Which is interesting because I think, although in past years you and me have kind of gone back and forth about Aisha Tyler and her role in it, but it's one of those things where I don't see why they continue to bring her up to be that rep, especially when she tries so hard to try and sell us that she's a gamer, she's a hardcore gamer, and then she basically devolves the entire presentation, and it all becomes about how badly Aisha Tyler is presenting this stuff.
Yeah, man.
I mean, look, I have no problem with people saying that Michael Fassbender is hot. But when she went off on that tear with the Assassin's Creed movie director, I was officially done with the saying. I didn't want to hear anybody saying it anymore.
Yep.
Microsoft was boring. Ubisoft was enraging. I was
indifferent to Ubisoft. EA was the one that got me going.
Yeah.
I miss the EA, but at the same time, it's like I can't care too much about EA because EA's that disappointed child. It's like it's gonna say, "Hey, watch me catch this ball." Like you're not like it's gonna trip.
Yeah.
Oh, there it is.
Brinton, Alex, and Romney, do you guys have any thoughts on Ubisoft at all?
I didn't see anything from their conference, so.
Again, I watched trailers. I saw Watch Dogs 2. I got excited. That's all I have to say.
Too, yeah. I was going to say, I did have thoughts on that one, at least. Sorry, continue.
No, go ahead.
Are you done, then? I was going to say, I don't want to step on anybody's
lines.
lines.
No, we're just going on to final thoughts anyway. So.
I'm always interrupting people. Just with Watch Dogs 2, it seems like, Watch Dogs 1, trying to do that whole dread theme and gameplay that just pissed everybody off. It looks like with Watch Dogs 2, they're going to go the Saints Row route, where they're going to be like, okay, we tried too much to be like Grand Theft Auto and try to be too dreary. Let's become completely self-aware and have fun with this.
Yeah, pretty much. Which is funny because...
Fun, and I don't mean to bring up race, but I was actually chuckling the whole way through as I'm watching this black guy fucking with all these white, rich people around him. It's like...
Yeah.
Well, actually, what's funny about...
Actually, I felt for him. I was like, dude... You do that. I love that.
Something funny about it being a black protagonist. I was at GameStop just checking something out, and there's this black guy who came in, and he was under the impression that there was an Assassin's Creed game that had a black protagonist. Well, much to his demise, which I mean, I even
There is one.
Huh?
There is one.
There is?
Yes.
It's a black woman. It's Liberation.
Black woman
No,
too? Oh yeah.
No, there's another one too that involves
Wait.
Connor's mentor, doesn't it?
Wait.
No.
There's Assassin's Creed with a black woman, yeah? Sorry.
Yes.
I'm going, yeah. But anyway, I was going to say, which one is that? Do you actually play the character?
Yes, it's called Liberations.
Yeah, okay, I'm going to look that one up. I've given up on the Assassin's Creed series. I have a friend right next door. He's always doing the whole, but it's a good series. You just have to try to find the right one. I'm like flipping through all the used copies I got from like Office Max or Greywell. I'm like, which one is it gonna be? Drop like all the games. Like, you tell me there's a good one here. Where is the good one?
Mm-hmm.
So, Brendan, you were saying the guy at the GameStop?
Well, anyway, there wasn't anything readily available at that GameStop, and I remember him turning to me. And he was just like, I want there to be like a video, like, you know, a representation of black people in a video game being badasses rather than like singers or cooks or criminals. And then shortly after, I saw Watch Dogs 2, and I was like, oh man, I wish I knew about this before so I could have told him, because I really love the fact that there is this strong black protagonist who is a complete and total badass, and is just like, I'm probably gonna F you all up, and I'm super, super excited to play this game.
I actually want to play it. Also, one thing I liked about that trailer also is it seems like this is a character who's coming in. Like, I haven't played the first game. It's the first game about a guy who gets into the group who's trying to take down the evil guys running the cities. Or it's like the second game. Like, this second game looks like they actually have a character who they're trying to introduce into doing that. I'm like, okay, that's like they're actually starting with a story here.
Yeah, I don't know if 1 and 2 are connected in that way.
I
didn't play 1 either.
No, I did play the first one. The first one is about a man named Aiden who is trying to who pretty much like somebody ordered a hit out on him, and he did not end up dying, but his niece who was with him did end up dying. So the entire game is him using his hacker abilities to find out who was the main man who ordered the hit out on him, so he could pick him out. Watch Dogs 2, from what I've seen and from the trailers, is that there's this black dude, Marcus, who's already part of the organization that kind of was about it, who essentially just taking turf in San Francisco. So it's two entirely different stories.
Yeah. So, if there are any other final thoughts on Ubisoft, then let's go ahead and move on to the next one.
I forgot there was one thing I did want to say I hate about Ubisoft is one thing they were called out for last year, they did even worse this year. Remember last year when they tried to show us like gameplay with multiplayer, and you had this obviously scripted, annoying people talking like they're trying to be the characters.
Oh yeah, with The Division. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, I'm surprised they're making a second one. Jeez Louise, Ubisoft is running the Tom Clancy name to the ground.
They are.
But at the same time, back to my regular rant. Stop it with the scripted multiplayers. Not only, I've overused the term patronize because there are far too many times where I feel like people are not taking us seriously or they're treating us like we're idiots.
Well,
far too often you throw in these try to throw on they try to throw in pretty colors by trying to have some people trying to play the game and be so into it to the point that they're not even human anymore.
I hate to tell you this, but that's not going to happen.
It's not going to stop.
Because Ubisoft doesn't care.
Ubisoft doesn't care, and that is why I don't care.
So,
I don't think Ubisoft is terrible. I mean, they made the Prince of Persia games. I love those. Sure. They made Rayman. Rayman's fun. But it's like with everything else they're doing, they don't care. It's just, why should we care?
All right.
This is why I hate E3. Like Ubisoft, everything in Ubisoft and EA's, and even Nintendo's, everything I hate about E3, they did.
All right. Well, with that being said, let's go ahead and move on into the next one, which actually was something that people did reach out and wanted to know our opinions on. which was a lot of the Square Enix announcements that were littered throughout all of the other conferences, but they actually did come out, what was it, Aldo, a week before?
I'm sorry, what's up?
What, the Square Enix announcements, they started pouring out like a week before.
It was the Wednesday.
on Wednesday last week.
Yeah. So the couple that people wanted us to talk about specifically, one was the announcement of Final Fantasy XII Zodiac Age.
The fuck?
Any thoughts on this?
I didn't see the trailer for that one. Oh, jeez.
It's a pretty game. I don't think they HD updated it very much, which is a little disappointing. But I mean, honestly, it was a good game.
Okay.
I think it'll do well as an update.
Do you think the new system, the Zodiac job system, which was in Japan, do you think that's going to do well here, or is it going to have the same problems?
I don't know, honestly.
Okay.
I don't know what the American reception of it was because it never made it over here. So it's kind of a risk that they're just going to decide. It's kind of like the Fight Night game from Kingdom Hearts.
Jeez, it's 7 minutes long.
Yeah.
So I don't know. So we'll see. Maybe it'll do good. Maybe it won't.
So the next major one that I think a lot of people will have something to say on the matter, because with 12, unfortunately, I don't think there's a whole lot of sentiment on that one. I'm more regretting it because I was really hoping to not have to do that one, but I'm going to have to now. The next one was obviously Kingdom Hearts 2.8 Final Chapter Prologue. Holy crap. Subtitles this long.
It's it is just what it is. It's more Kingdom Hearts. It's more preparation for 3. It's just giving you a taste while they finish 15 and before they finish 3. And I'm not surprised that there was nothing about Kingdom Hearts 3. They're focusing on this one because it feels like they're just trying to give you a snack before the real dinner comes in.
Oh my god. I'm going to say, I am not a fan of the Kingdom Hearts series. I mean, the first game was fun. It wasn't fun. It was a simple little good game. But then they made Kingdom Hearts 2, and they really they lost me at that one. The idea, okay, I almost would share that I don't want I don't want Kingdom Hearts 3 to happen, but that's not my calling. But at the same time, I'm now on the side I will side with the fans that it is annoying how Square Enix is really dragging their feet from releasing this Kingdom Hearts 3 game. In fact, they're wasting a ton of money to making these stupid in-between... What the fuck? Like, Square Enix, stop it. People told you what they want. Why won't you just give them what they want? Why are you wasting this money?
They are giving you what you want 5 years from now.
They are giving you what you want, so you didn't specify. You wanted more Kingdom Hearts? Here's more Kingdom Hearts.
That's literally their justification.
I don't care about Kingdom Hearts. I want it to end.
I know. I didn't mean you.
I think Square Enix is not doing this to mess with the fans. I think they're doing this to mess with me.
I don't think you're... Okay.
I'm just going to have to hear about Kingdom Hearts 3 for the next couple of years as they keep releasing these stupid decimal games over and over again now.
Pretty much. I wish I had more thoughts on this, but really, my wife's going to buy it, and we're probably going to play it, and that's it.
Or watch it.
Nothing wrong for those who like to play it. It's just quit trying to involve me. It's like Pokemon, Square Enix. Try to think of all the things that people... Assassin's Creed. Like, all the games that people keep trying to drag me into liking. I'm at the point where I hate the game so much I want to punch people in the face if they try to mention it to me now.
So the next game on the list, and this one in particular had people asking for individual opinions, was World of Final Fantasy. Now, specifically, people wanted to know Brinton and Alex's opinions, because being anime fans, they wanted to know your opinion on the direction that this game is going. And then with Romney and Aldo, they wanted to know, like, from your perspective as a Final Fantasy fan, is this a good idea? Is this a bad idea to do? Which is, for people who don't know what World of Final Fantasy is, it's basically Kingdom Hearts, but remove all the Disney. That's what it is. It's the merging all of the Roman numeral titles into one game, but in chibi format.
Wow.
Well, that's the thing. The chibi format thing's a bit of a misnomer because the big criticism I have for World of Final Fantasy is that, okay, just to explain, the two main characters are able to change their sizes. They have their normal size, and then they have the chibified size. And I'm sorry, but if you're gonna do this chibi-style imagery, don't try to tell a serious story!
Who's this character? I had to look up pictures just to get my emotions back on this, but it's like I realized this, that when it comes to the Final Fantasy franchise, Square Enix does not care about the actually good Final Fantasy games, in my opinion.
Well, that depends on your definition.
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm trying to say. It's because I tried to grow up with Final Fantasy because my friends all loved Final Fantasy, and it was a cool game. They had great art direction, great characters in some of them. Personally, my absolute favorite of all the Final Fantasies is 9. Mostly because I love this the very heavy fantasy aspect of it, but at the same time, the art style to me resonated because growing up, some of my favorite artists were James Christensen and Brian Froud. There was a lot of that in the game.
Yep.
So I was like, oh, I love this. So it's like, the Final Fantasy world meets, those guys.
So getting into the specifics, though, Brinton and Alex, your thoughts on the unique art direction that they actually are taking. I don't think it's really an anime direction because the chibifying is fine, but I wouldn't call that the chibi, anime style.
It looks like every other Final Fantasy game now is just doing super deformed. I really don't care. I don't know why people want my opinion on this. When have I ever expressed any interest in Final Fantasy? I don't care.
An artist made this game.
I have to
Also,
say,
who's this asshole over here?
I have to say, Chibi Cloud is actually kind of cute, but I think that's just my biasness.
Is this Cloud with a complete arc
Final
from the
Fantasy
original
VII
game,
right
or
now?
is this Cloud from the movie with no complete arc?
The original game.
So he's not gonna be a pussy for the rest of it, I hope.
Honestly, who knows with this? I mean, one thing I will commend Square for is that they at least made the effort to bring back as many of the voice actors of these characters as possible, like James Arnold Taylor.
Voice acting? The only person I would guess that any voice acting was Lightning. I don't know who this guy over here is. I don't remember him.
Well, that one is actually one of the main characters. The one that you're pointing at is one of the main characters of World of Final Fantasy, one of the characters you play as.
And there's somebody that Cloud's head just ate over here. I can see her skirt, but I don't know.
That's the other main character.
Okay. I was going to say, because the one thing I find very patronizing is they have... Okay, Cloud is not a terrible character, but like if you know Final Fantasy VII from the movie, you do not know Final Fantasy VII. It's like people love this pussy Cloud. Cloud has this, he has a repression based on his own backstory that he's trying to hold back, but it works in the game. So it's just with him in every other rendition, he just pisses me off. This is what happens when Enix buys out Squaresoft. And of course, you got Cloud here.
Reverse that. Squaresoft
Yeah, it was Square that bought out Enix.
How did Enix eat them out then?
They didn't.
So Squaresoft turned to the dark side?
Yeah.
Oh my god.
At the time, it was actually an interesting. It was a good idea because the two biggest RPG makers.
Who's Enix then? Enix I thought was the marketing company.
Enix is
Dragon Enix makes Dragon Quest.
They're the ones that made Dragon's Quest?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Holy shit! I've had this hatred for Enix in my mind for years backwards. Squaresoft is the monster. But seriously, they're gonna probably have patronizing, annoying Cloud here, but also they had to have Squall and Lightning. Fuck these two.
So, yeah, I think we're pretty much covered, unless Aldo and Romney have anything to add on World of Final Fantasy.
No, I'm good.
Okay.
Yeah, really, I think the main mistake, because in the trailer, what a lot of people see, they have kind of the Kingdom Hearts sort of design. They either should have gone all super deformed with all the characters, or had the full Kingdom Hearts design and just go all out and have the full height models and have it be like Kingdom Hearts without the Disney.
Yes, I'm
trying to have it both.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah, trying to have it both ways like this, though, that's what I think really hurts it, because you pretty much have stylistic whiplash.
I think, and I think it's weird how like the art style plays into the story, because they'll be characters, they'll be themselves as a tall, lanky characters or whatever, but then like there's scenes in the trailer where they switch to the super deformed style, and then they switch out of it, and it's I don't know. It just seems like a cash grab. It's just like a nostalgic cash grab.
Yeah, it's kind of like Project Cross Zone. That's pretty much the biggest vibe I'm getting. It's like Project Cross Zone to that, fact that it's like, how much fan service can we cram into this game to get people to buy it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
All right, well, unfortunately, moving on, we're actually coming really close to the end of the podcast tonight, people. There is still one conference left to go over, but unfortunately, there aren't a whole lot of people on the panel that are fans of that company. That's the thing.
What is it, Adam?
That is Bethesda.
Oh, they had an excellent press conference.
They had a good, like, as far as I'm concerned, they had a lot of things from it that I was actually interested in. Like, I'm not the biggest Elder Scrolls or Fallout fan, but one of the things I'll compliment their conference for is that it wasn't focused on that.
Yeah.
It was focused on Dishonored. It was focused on Prey.
Yeah, honestly, my quick notes on it. Oh my god, that echo is terrible. My quick notes on it is Quake Champions looks cool. The stuff they're doing with Elder Scrolls Online with no leveling restrictions, that's a really big change up for the MMO community. And Dishonored 2 and Dishonored Definitive Edition, holy crap. I'm excited.
No, they had a solid year as far as I was concerned, including, I forgot to mention this, Quake Champions. That was unexpected. And frankly, yeah, it's kind of a Overwatch other take, but I like it. So I think Bethesda had a good conference, but
I think I miss Bethesda's.
yeah, it was Sunday night. So any
I
other
missed
thoughts
everything then.
before we start wrapping things up with Bethesda?
No, I didn't see anything on Bethesda. I just completely skipped it.
Brenton, I would definitely recommend for you to check out Dishonored 2. I think it's right up your alley.
Oh, yeah, Dishonored 2. I forgot to remember that one.
You're not the first person to tell me that, so I will watch the trailer after this.
I've already decided I'm going to get the, I think it was the special edition for Dishonored 2 because it's coming with a definitive Dishonored, and I've never played Dishonored, so.
Dishonored actually is a pretty I actually like that game a lot. If anything, I would almost say it's like Bethesda's answer to BioShock, but it's not too much like BioShock. I try to think, like, there is kind of that aspect of, melee weapons and, like, spells and stuff like that.
Yeah. In fact, I think you can pick up Dishonored Definitive Edition already. I think that was out last year.
Yeah.
Oh, no. I was just saying that because I think it was like a pre-order bonus or something like that for the special edition.
There it is.
Get it.
Best way to sum it up. Dishonored, imagine Dishonored would be BioShock if you had better ways to explore and navigate the maps, but also stealth mechanics.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Comparatively, BioShock, I think, is a lot more chaotic. It's almost like a chaotic horror series is what BioShock is. Kind of using that Ayn Rand answer to, no, you can't make a perfect society because mankind is just doomed to destroy each other.
Yep. But yeah, those are pretty much my thoughts, and I think those are pretty much the thoughts of the panel, because I don't think Alex, Brenton, or Romney have thoughts on the Bethesda conference.
Not really.
I don't.
Well, then, let's go ahead and wrap things up. Wow, we actually ended almost on time. I kind of expected for the E3 coverage we wouldn't. What was that, Matt?
I was going to say, and I'm the guy who took up most of your time just to say, fuck these characters and screw this. I just think my rants are too long.
So yeah, let's go ahead and wrap things up. If people want to actually get in contact with us and talk about the opinions that we have, whether it be with Square Enix, whether it be with EA, with Microsoft, or whomever, let's go ahead and go over the ways that people can be reached. Although, obviously, yours are all on the screen, but go ahead and let people know how they can get a hold of you for your opinions on E3 2016.
Look at the screen. And for those of you that can't look at the screen, you can find me on Twitter at BoardThresh. You can also find me on BoardOffline.net. You can also find me on YouTube at, oh man, let's see. These are backwards for me. Dang it. BoardOffline, SLC Nerd, Reviews versus the World, and Anime Overdub.
All right. Brenton, if people want to get a hold of you for your various opinions that you've had throughout all of E3, how do they get a hold of you?
Well, likewise, you can reach, everything on the screen is how you can reach me via YouTube or Twitter. But for those who are just listening in, you can find me on Twitter at BValdi01, so BVALLI01. And then my YouTube is just my name, Brinton, Brinton, and then again my last name, Valli, Valli, and there you go.
All right. Matt, if people want to get a hold of you to check out all of the artwork that you do via YouTube, via WordPress, via all of the other places, how do they get a hold of you?
Well, let's say with my I just got my WordPress page set up. I do have links to a lot of other places I function. I don't know. I just say sometimes people don't like me on Twitter, so it's like come there at your own caution. That's tend to be where I tend to do a lot more updates on. Is on Twitter. I do post art and occasional doodles and photographs on my Instagram. I'm still trying to get my Facebook page working. I'm trying to think. I got Tumblr back up again. I got Tumblr back up again. My phone's working again, so I can get a Tumblr back.
Nice.
But otherwise, WordPress is probably like the most common place where I'm gonna basically mass together all the stuff I do. Probably gonna share some of your. You might share some of your videos through like a link here, like showing like stuff that features me on a tab.
No, that's fine.
Yep.
That's what I go.
I would say because ironically, when you mentioned my art, that's actually the one thing I can appreciate about E3. I had an excuse to be left alone for hours.
All right.
Yep. Do you mind if I just throw this silly thing at you?
Oh, go ahead.
Thank you, Nintendo, for taking so many hours doing a Merc Corgi.
All right. I like it.
Well, this is going to be a T-shirt soon as I get it done. I'm also making this a drawing video, so that's what's taking me a long time. It's going to be called the Welsh Whopper when it comes out.
All right, and Alex,
so see that
Shadow Blazer. How do people get a hold of you if they want to get or talk about your opinions that you've had throughout E3?
Well, of course, you can find me here on YouTube, where Shadow Blizzard 3000, as it shows on my lower third. That is my channel name. That is what I do here. And I do mostly anime content, but I also do some gaming content on my channel, including unboxings. I do apologize. I've been kind of a slacker lately. Haven't made any real new videos aside from one unboxing. I promise I'm working on something right now. It's just a matter of I gotta rewatch something and get ready for that review. And of course, you can find me on Twitter at AlexJShort is my handle.
All right. And Stephen Romney of Romney's Reviews. How do people get a hold of you for the various opinions on E3 that you've had tonight?
Or lack thereof.
Or lack thereof.
Yeah. But you can always find me here on YouTube at youtube.com/StudioGhostUtah. You can also find me on Facebook at facebook.com/Romney'sReviews, no apostrophe. And I am on Twitter at Romney Reviews. Unfortunately, I do not have a recommendation for Romney's Reading Club, Romney's Viewing Club, or Romney's Anything Club because, well, today was particularly busy.
Yes. So it was busy for all of us, and I wish we could tell you guys honestly what it is, but we're keeping that under our hat for now. I promise that once we get it out there, then you guys will appreciate it, and we'll be able to talk about it a little bit more. But if people want to get a hold of me for all of my opinions on E3, first of all, check out all of my opinions in depth. They are up in video form on my channel at on youtube.com/Drac2326. So you can check those out, as well as the podcast archive. It is all up there from all of the live streams that we have done. And you can also follow me on Twitter at Drac2326 and leave your opinions there. I try to get to them as quickly as I'm able. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But if you want to get a hold of the show directly, there are 4 ways to do it. The first 2 are social media, and that is our Twitter handle at GeekyNRO. And you can go to Facebook and look up Geek News, Reviews, and Opinions and like it. And for both, you'll get up-to-the-minute information when we're going live, all of the stories that we might be covering on a given week, including E3 coverage, things like that. And we usually try to keep that as up-to-date as we can, as well as try and get you guys' feedback on them as well. You can also email your stories to geekyweek@gmail.com. Leave your opinions there. Actually, I did have some backup stories just in case E3 was fairly light tonight, and a lot of it was based on suggestions from you guys. So continue to do so. And finally, if you want to hear or if you want to get in contact with the podcast's RSS feed, you can look us up at geekyweek.podomatic.com, and you'll get our RSS feed, which is pretty much up to speed. There are a couple of weeks missing, but I am working on that as fast and as hard as I can to get it up to date, as well as being able to subscribe to us on iTunes, where the RSS feed is there as well. But in the meantime, though, that's going to go ahead and do it for us this evening. We hope you guys have enjoyed our coverage of E3, and whether or not we had many things to say, whether or not we had very little to say. But in the meantime, that's going to go ahead and do it for us this week. Now, I'm actually going to preface this really quick. Like I said, we have something big going on, so we might not be able to meet next weekend. But if we can't, we'll let you guys know. But if we can, we'll probably be doing a lot of catch-up with all of the stories we've been missing the last 2 weeks. So with that said, for me, Aldo, for Brinton, for Matt, for Alex, and for Ronnie, we'll see you guys next time for even more geek news, reviews, and opinions.
Yeah.